Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Cumberland series, 128 parishes in what used to be Carlisle, Copeland and Allerdale in Western Cumbria. Let's dive in and see what we've got today. Hello Cumbria, it's 2024 now, believe it or not. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't look a day over 2023 though.
That's because we're still filming this episode in 2023, that's why. We're beginning this episode just on the other side of the River Derwent the last time we were here in Cumberland. At a church, you can see the lit gate of said church there, a mighty big lit gate, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Church is just behind that, and you'll find this right on the northern boundary of the parish of Brigham. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Brigham, homestead by the bridge. Welcome back to Cumberland everyone for parish number 3. This is another one that was formerly in the district of Allerdale before Cumbria was reorganised in 2023. There are 2 settlements within its boundaries, Brigham and Broughton Cross. The main village is located just to the west of Cockermouth and sits to the south and west of the A66, which cuts through the northern part of the parish boundaries. In stark contrast maybe to its near neighbours, industrially, Brigham was more about quarrying than the mining of coal and clay. Although coal mining wasn't of great importance to Brigham, the village did have a connection. In Low Brigham is an old rescue station built to deal with any mining catastrophes in the West Cumberland Coal Field. Effectively, the village is split into 2 parts, either side of 2 19th century quarries which have now been worked out. This one is perhaps most famous for its connection to Fletcher Christian. He was the man who led the mutiny on the Bounty in 1789 and he was baptised at St Bridget's Church. William Wordsworth is also known to have written poetry here too, because his son was Brigham's vicar for 40 years. So, without further ado, let's get into it and see what it's like. We start at St Bridget's Church close to the A66, a road which replaced the former CWR railway line. This is a Lakeland mother church which houses several substantial carved stone cross pieces dating from the 9th century. The war memorial, bearing a total of 38 names, is made of red granite. It was unveiled in 1921 at a ceremony attended by the Bishop of Carlisle. The church is currently undergoing some restoration, hence the scaffolding you can see around it at present. In the porch, there's a detailed plan for this work, which will include the addition of toilets at the rear. It should be noted, by the way, that St Bridget's used to be dedicated to St Michael in medieval times. The whole building was restored between 1863 and 1876. For 40 years, William Wordsworth's son was Brigham's vicar. St Bridget's has a cremation garden and some Commonwealth war graves in its churchyard. We found at least 3. The churchyard is also the burial place of some of Fletcher Christian's family, the famous English sailor who led the mutiny on the Bounty in 1789. There are hundreds of other locally crafted gravestones. Some of them are massive. Not even Nikki, who is fairly tall herself, could match them. There are plenty of newer stones in the adjacent Brigham Cemetery, and one of them belongs to a local sporting figure, who all you rugby fans might know. So we were just idly walking around the cemetery having a look at some of the memorials, and we came across this one here. Now normally we just look at it and go, oh, he looks interesting, but this guy actually has his own Wikipedia page. His name is Gus Rissman, and he was all to do with rugby. What does the page say, Nikki?
Now, the amount I know about sport, you can put on a postage stamp and have space to spare, but this chap was a Welsh professional rugby league footballer who played from the late 1920s through to the 1950s and coached in the 1940s through to the 1970s.
And he had something to do with Workington Rugby Club?
Yeah, he coached Workington Town, Whitehaven, Oldham, Salford and Bradford Northern in his coaching career. And he played for a number of clubs during his playing career. So you'll see this on his
Wikipedia page.
So
how about that?
He was also the father of rugby league footballers Bev Rissman and John Rissman. So there you go.
So if you know your rugby league, then this is kind of like a little, I don't know, like a little shrine, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Bev Rissman, OBE, Augustus Beverly Walter Rissman, actually passed away on the 22nd of June 2023. And John Rissman is still with us, and he is the president of Scotland Rugby League. So there you go.
How about that?
It's because I can see on the top of the gravestone there, you've got a lion and a dragon and a rugby ball, and I'm like, hello.
Notable guy. Notable guy.
It's what I've always said about cemeteries. Even though this is the new part of the cemetery, you know, it's a new burial ground, even something like this, a pretty innocuous stone in the grand scheme of things, because it fits in with all of these others, it tells a story.
Directly south of the church is an area known as Low Brigham. The church is technically within Low Brigham itself. Also within this little sub-area is a social club on your screens now. This is located around the back of the old rescue station, which was built in 1914 by the Cumberland Coal Owners Association. Its job was simply to coordinate rescues across the West Cumberland Coal Field. It closed in 1951 and was later used as a police station. Low Brigham used to feature 2 pubs, a former Hartley's pub called the Lime Kiln and the Wheat Chief, which was popular for real ale. Both have now closed. This is Allerdale Yard, and it's a small industrial estate containing a garage and a few other local businesses. It sits on the edge of Brigham Quarry, one of 2 that extracted limestone. Both have now been completely worked out, but you can still see the quarry's outcrops from the industrial estate. On the right hand side as you head down Stan Lonning towards High Brigham is a caravan park. Named Brigham Holiday Park, it's quite a popular place for tourists wishing to explore the West Cumbrian coast or the Northern Lake District. Our main walk is around High Brigham, which is full of quaint old houses. It's overwhelmingly residential, but it still retains key communal features like a village hall. It used to have another pub, but that too has now closed and been converted into a house. My sources tell me somewhere in the village there's also an art gallery. Here's a parish notice board on the wall of the village hall. Tick off Brigham, everybody. Cumberland still has 125 to go. The village hall's official name is the Brigham War Memorial Hall. It was built in 1924 to commemorate those from Brigham who were lost in World War I. Next door to the hall is the former Apple Tree Inn. It was an ex-Matthew Brown pub, which closed in 2003. At the time, it was owned by Billy Burkitt, who claimed he was forced to close it thanks to village newcomers who refused to socialise with the locals. It had been a pub for some 400 years. Most of Brigham lies above the two quarries, hence the name High Brigham. The road we're on here is named High Brigham all the way through the village. Effectively, this is a linear settlement with just a few side roads here and there. One of them is Cockermouth Lonning. A lonning, by the way, is a local term in Cumbria. It's defined as something less than a road, but more rural than a street. In other words, it's like a track. In other parts of the country, we'd call it a lane. As we continue to head east, we pass some pretty houses, ones which certainly give a bit of credence to High Brigham's average house price. In the midst of the residences is a chapel. This was built by the Wesleyans, and it's still in use as a Methodist chapel today. However, this is the second one to Brigham's name. This one was built in 1882 and 83, and it replaced an earlier building from 1856, which stood on the adjacent plot. The rest of High Brigham is completely residential. Aside from what we've already seen, the only other major amenity here is a school, which we'll drive past later. There used to be a post office, but that's now gone. Public transport-wise, Brigham has one solitary bus service, the S35, which runs to Cockermouth, although it's very infrequent. There used to be a railway station too in the days before the A66 replaced the railway line. High Brigham eventually becomes Ellerbeck Brow and runs off towards the A66. On the way, it crosses a stream called Ellerbeck and also passes Ellerbeck Fisheries. For us, it's an amble up High Rig, one of the newer estates in Brigham, which enjoys wide and fine views of the Lakeland Fells around the village. Halfway down it is a footpath which links you back to the main street. After walking back to the centre of High Brigham to where the Memorial Hall is, we're now off to explore the western side, beginning with this attractive former Cumberland County Council sign. That's right next to a little enclosed space that had some beehives in it. Not your average village centre landmark. If you turn left, you're then on Hotchbury Road, and this is a shallow hill. It's not a lot to write home about, but it's lined with a few farm buildings and some attractive bungalows. A brand new estate, Butterfield Close, will greet you as you make your way down a short footpath to the right. These houses aren't even on Google Street View yet because they're that new. This seems to be the only area of new builds in the village at present though. The new houses lead to Lawson Garth, which is our final leg of the walk. This winds its way back to High Brigham, although there is a handy shortcut near the end if you don't want to walk the whole way down the road. So this one's very residential, I'm sure you've gathered that from the walk around. Not really a lot to see, is there?
Yeah, but not unpleasant.
Not unpleasant, no. Although it does look better now the sun has come out. It's starting to come over the top of Brigham now. It's making it look quite nice. Yep. When it's cold and wet and rainy, it looks a bit grey and monotonous sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, the weather does definitely make a difference.
Yeah. We've enjoyed ourselves here anyway. We've spent a good... probably almost an hour walking around this one actually, which is longer than I thought it was going to take. But yeah, nice place to live, I suppose.
Been a nice trot round, enjoyed it.
A nice trot round. We're not quite done. There's one last final driving section which I need to do, but apart from that, that's Brigham. The village gave its name to HMS Brigham, a Ham-class minesweeper in the Royal Navy. The bell from that vessel is now at St Bridget's Church of England Primary School, which we're about to pass as we make our way towards Broughton Cross. Keep your eyes on the left of the screen and you'll see the school. The ship's bell was rung often because it was used as the school's fire alarm until a more modern system was installed. Broughton Cross is a small hamlet consisting of just a few houses. Its most notable piece of history was a former railway station. Named Broughton Cross, it was on the Cockermouth and Workington Railway. It opened in 1847 and closed in 1942, and the remains of it are now buried under the modern A66. Time to move on to the next one. Thanks for joining us on another adventure around the parishes of Cumberland. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.